So please welcome to the channel my new broken, smashed, absolutely ruined BMW M2 Competition. This is a full build video of my BMW M2 Competition. Now this was filmed over an 18-month period and all the clips have been condensed and morphed into one long video for you to watch. Now some of the clips could have been 2, 3, 4 months apart, so don't be concerned if they don't link seamlessly. So enjoy. As I say, when I got it, I had it on the trailer and I kind of reversed the trailer in here and I had to try and get it off the trailer, and that was actually a very difficult task because the rear end, I mean, I don't know where this has been, but the exhaust is all mashed up as well, and there's a branch in this exhaust pipe and there was just dirt. All 4 exhaust pipes were completely caked in dirt and I had to get a stick to try and get it all out. And now if you look here, you can actually see when it was on the trailer some of the mud that I had to try and get out of the exhaust. So this does run. I didn't know it ran. It was a non-runner when I got it, but I had a look and I could see that the intercooler, not the intercooler, sorry, the oil cooler had been ripped off and there was a pipe missing, and I just know as soon as I tried to start it, it would just basically pump oil out everywhere. So I think you can see it here. Let's just get my arm down. I've got like a little pipe and I basically just bridged the gap between the oil, well, basically that is an oil cooler. I've bridged the 2 pipes together to so the oil circulates and bypasses the oil cooler that isn't there, just basically so it stopped the engine from pumping out loads of oil and it actually would run. So that is the way I knew it would run. I managed to reverse it off the trailer and leave it there. Now, yeah, I did try and get it off without running it, but looking at it, it was very difficult to get it out of park. Looking on Google, it said you have to, there's a mechanical notch on the gearbox, I think, that you had to disengage to be able to get it out, and yeah, I just couldn't do it like it was, so managed to get it running in the end and reverse it off. So again, and that's where it's sat ever since. So I don't know whether this has been in a rollover or not, because there's quite a big bit of damage here on the roof. Now it's quite sunny, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's a major hole right here. Now having a look, like, it hasn't smashed the windscreen and the edge of the roof here doesn't actually look like it's impacted. It looks quite similar to the other side. So I'm really hoping I can just like strip the headlining, push this out as much as I can, and it will be okay. But obviously it smashed the rear window here, so I don't really know what's gone on. But there's frontal damage, obviously the side, all down this side, roof, there's rear damage as well, the rear bumper, the exhaust. The near side's mostly okay, up until the wing. That's completely smashed as well. The suspension here, so there's quite substantial damage to the car. I might get away with this door, it looks okay, but the side skirt's ruined. Windscreen I don't think is actually smashed, which is a bonus. Bonnet, I think the bonnet's, is the bonnet all right? Oh, bonnet actually might be okay. Yeah, the bonnet might actually be good. Hopefully this headlight's good, because this is very expensive. Now I have been keeping my eye on eBay for the last 3 months and no M2 competition parts come up at all. There's loads of new parts which are very expensive, but I haven't actually found any like front end parts at all. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. I don't know how I'm going to get it in the workshop. Hopefully that wheel will just drive, I don't know yet. Being rear wheel drive, it'll be a bit easier to manage, but yeah, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Rollover or not? Yeah, I'm hoping it's just not, there's just loads of damage, light damage all around the car and nothing major. I don't think the chassis legs have bent on this. I mean, we're going to find out. We're going to get it in the workshop in a minute. But yeah, you can see just all the cobwebs and rubbish where it's sat. So let's just try and look in the inside. No airbags have gone off, which is very good because it means I don't have to replace them. But that's a horrible sound. Come on. There we go. Interior wise, pretty good. I think the interior doesn't need to be touched. Now, I don't know what's optional and standard on these at all. So if someone in the comments wants to let me know and enlighten me, I assume it's just a standard spec. I don't know if Harman Kardon is standard or not. Other than that, it's pretty much, yeah, no idea. Well, let's just turn the jump pack on. Now, if I'm honest, I completely forgot how bad that is. I don't know if it's going to drive. It's obviously the wishbone, probably the steering arm as well, is completely mangled. I'll try and drive it. As I say, all I did was reverse it straight back, so that was fairly easy. Whether it's going to turn or not, because it's probably a good 60-70 meters to the workshop, and obviously I'll have to use the steering to get it in. And also, it really needs to clean before I get it in as well, because it is absolutely filthy. So it's got no coolant, because I've just tucked the radiator out the way and there had no hose on it, so it's definitely no coolant in the system. Oil I think is okay. I might just, can you check it on the MMI? Let's have a look. Oil level, measure oil level. Ah, it said oil level okay. Engine oil level okay. Let's just make sure there's no oil leaks quickly. Okay, well, looks good. There's no coolant, so let's just try and drive it in. Oh, it sounds awful. Right. Drive. Yeah, judging by the fact this wheel has turned sort of 30 degrees left, I'm guessing it's just like buckling up and won't let it drive forward. So it looks like we're going to have to try and fix this fault before, well, fix this wheel before we can actually move it from where it is. I think we'll have to roll it back a little bit now as well, because I've just wedged it into the wheel arch. So yeah. Well, I've just managed to get into the boot, and thank God I have the locking wheel key. I was getting very concerned. There's also loads of parts in here as well. There's a nice carbon spoiler, which has seen better days. That's exactly what I'd want to put on it. Unfortunately, that is completely mangled. So there's a grille here, but I think that's broken. Anyway, we'll investigate these at a later date, because no doubt all of that is rubbish anyway. But for now, yeah, let's get the let's jack that near side front corner up and get that wheel off and see what we can do. So just jacking up the near side front of the car and taking off the wheel, which reveals two bottom arms, front, a rear, and a steering arm. The rear arm is the one that's really bent and causing the wheel to buckle and like that. Luckily for me, it all went pretty much okay getting them out, because it's a relatively new car with low mileage. They weren't seized in or anything, so I managed to get the front arm off first, and then the bent like a banana arm, that came out okay, and the steering arm as well. They are all completely mangled and required replacing, so yeah, just taking them all out now. Right, so getting all that off actually wasn't too bad. I mean, it was a bit time consuming, but everything came out nice and easily in the end. So yeah, what we've got our arm here. I think that arm actually might not be bent. I don't know, it might be bent. We'll have a look in a minute. Obviously, steering arm here, that's bent in there. So we've got a new tie rod end coming. I think the track rod part of it might be okay. It's floating around here somewhere. Don't know where it is. It's gone. It's gone. Incredible. There it is. I think that's all right. if I can get this off, that is, but I think that looks all right. And yeah, we got our other one. Oh my God, where's that gone? Here it is. And that is the one that's bent like a banana. Look. And that was our main issue. So yeah, all come off okay. No damage to the subframe or anything like that. So I have just ordered 3 arms to replace all that. So that means hopefully we can fit those here and then be able to drive the car in the workshop. First part has turned up. Turns out that the M2 Competition shares all its most of its suspension components, the bottom arms anyway, with the M2, M3 and M4 Competition as well. So this one is to replace that. So this is where we find out if it actually is twisted or not. So if I just put that in up here, get rid of that. Yeah, it is twisted, look. So obviously with them two together there, you can see, if you follow it up, that the one on the left bends inwards. So it's bent sort of here, and it's nothing major. You probably wouldn't know it unless I had obviously this new one to compare it with, but it is definitely tweaked. So good job I did in the end buying a new one, because that would have made it horrible. So yeah, we're one down, so I'm gonna fit that now, and hopefully by the time I've done that, the others will turn up. Well, they will for you, not for me. Right, all parts are in. I got my second arm on there, and I've got a new arm here, a new tie rod end, and with a track rod as well. So we should be all good to get this thing kind of able to be able to drive into the workshop basically. So I'm going to stick on a quick time lapse now, get this fitted, and yeah, fingers crossed it will move forward. That's all now fitted, and the wheel looks much happier. In fact, so happy that I now think that this side is actually buggered as well, because there's quite a big gap between the wheel and the arch there. That might be just because it's been pushed back. I don't know, so we might have issues this side as well, but I'm hoping that side is good enough to roll. So let me just go grab the key, and yeah, we'll try moving it forward first before I go ahead and try and move that trailer out of the way. Sounds awful. I might have to just take this wheel off and just, I think there's some plastics wedged in the wheel. I might just whip this wheel off just to have a look at what is rubbing. Could be this wing as well. Doesn't help. Yeah. Right, I've just turned the steering slightly just so I can see if it might just bend this, try and bend this wing up. Just so it doesn't hit the wheel. A few bits of plastic in here that are wedged. Yeah, that's quite a big bit of metal there. That's big metal arm here that's not helping. Let's see if we can bend that out of the way. That should do it. Right, let's do this. Let's try and get it in the workshop. can see, it doesn't look massively bad on the front end. Yes, this corner's really bad, and the last video we fixed the suspension for now just so we could drive it into the workshop. The impact doesn't look horrendous, so if you look here, like the top of the engine bay is pretty much unscathed. There's no like bent arms here or anything like that. The carbon brace looks good. The chassis leg looks good as well. Look, the crash bar's barely had an impact, so it looks like it's just like this corner that's had the impact, but that isn't where obviously the damage stops. We have this wing, the driver's door, and the biggest problem that we're going to have, I feel, is this roof panel. Now, upon closer inspection, it's actually going to need a new roof. I'm fairly certain, because if you look down here, I don't know how you better see it on camera, but the it ripples all the way down here, and there's a bit of a divot here as well. I don't know if you can see it, where it's obviously crumpled and bowed here. It's really hard to see on camera, but it is there. And also, if we go over to this side, I don't know if it's just because there's a hole there, but the windscreen looks lower on this side. I don't know if you can see that. It looks lower, but I don't think it is lower, because obviously the glass would have smashed. Glass doesn't bend. So I'm not 100% if that's just the eye playing tricks, but if we go over to this side here, again, really difficult to see, but it's rippled. You might be able to see it with the light bouncing off it. It's just too difficult. Basically, there's more rippling here, which obviously indicates the structural integrity has been impacted, and yeah, it's probably not going to be 100% straight, even if we manage to get that out. So I have a feeling we're going to be getting a new roof on this, and also we're going to need a new rear bumper, exhaust as well, and then down the near side, this is the best side, but it's still pretty mangled. We're going to need side skirt, wing at least, and yeah, so I think to start off, we're going to get it on the ramp, get it on the air, and start taking off these front panels, because I want to get the engine running properly, because as a lot of you said in the last video as well, and I agree, it was a bit rattly top end, so I'm just wondering if the car system is talking out of its arse and there isn't enough oil in the system. So ideally I want to get an oil cooler put on, or at least check the oil and get the engine running right, and also start stripping the front end and start ordering parts, like the headlight, bumper, everything I need, start ordering parts so I can start getting them in, and then yeah, we can start addressing the roof. So yeah, let's get it on the ramp and start taking parts off. So first thing I've noticed there are two stupid things with this car already, and that is that you can't manually check the oil level. You have to do it via the iDrive. There's no manual selection on the M2 304 that I've Googled anyway. So the only way to actually check the oil is by running it up to temperature, and then it will check it. Obviously I don't want to do that because I don't know how much oil is in it. I'm suspecting it's low because it was a bit rattly top end, and you guys noticed it as well. So I want to check the oil level before I can start it, but I can't start it. And the other stupid thing is I can't put it in neutral without starting it. I've turned the ignition on, it's in park, it will not let me put it in neutral. So to put it in neutral, I've got to start it, which I don't want to do. It's just a bit of a cluster, beep, if I'm honest. There should be two really simple things that should allow me to do: manually check the oil level and put it in neutral without having to start it. But I can do neither, so I'm gonna have to really quickly start it, put it in neutral, and then get it on the ramp, drain all the oil out, and then that's how I'm gonna see how much oil's in it. And then I think 6.5 litres is roughly the correct amount to put back in. Put that back in, and that's when I'll know roughly that the oil level is correct. But Jesus Christ. There we go, it's in neutral now. So let's have a quick look under it while it's up in the air, and yeah, it's pretty evident I've maybe gone across a field and into a ditch, or across a field and into a tree. There is a lot of mud and like scrapage. So I don't know where that's come from. That just might have been the forklift that lifted it up, but yeah, look, just mud everywhere there. So it's quite damaged under it. I mean, nothing major, just like rips and tears like this. And like the under tray down the side here, look, it's just ripped. And there's a tree here as well. Get that out. So yeah, he's definitely been possibly in a field. Rear end doesn't look too bad. Obviously exhaust is smashed up, but luckily we can only need to replace it from here. So that's not too bad. Otherwise the rear end doesn't look too bad. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess, but nothing, yeah, it's mostly just superficial. A couple of under trays, shouldn't be too bad, hopefully. So let's get it down and start stripping that front. So that's a 5 litre container, and what's that, about maybe 3.5 litres in there. So that's probably the reason. It was slightly tapping the top end, but there's enough in there to not really cause an issue, so that'll be fine. So I'm going to leave it as it is for a minute. I'm not going to bother putting oil back in it because obviously we need to replace the cooler, so don't want to put oil in to have to then drain it again. So we'll just leave it as is, but the new oil filter, and then we can obviously check the oil levels correct. So that's that done for the minute. I'm now just going to take the front wheels off and then just start stripping the front end and start removing bits. I mean, I've taken this under tray off. It's a little bit bent by the looks of it. Not too sure how much of it is design or how much of it is bentness. I don't know, but a lot of, again, field amount come under it. So that's the bumper off, and I think I've got very lucky with this headlight. I cannot see any damage on it whatsoever. All mountings are completely intact. So I think I've got away with on there because these are very expensive. This one, on the other hand, literally just fell out as I took the bumper off. So good news is I've had a look online. Some or most of the headlights don't come with the control modules, but I think like this one here and this one here, they look, well, they look to be intact. So hopefully I can just swap those straight over. But I've now got a part number, so I can order that. What else have I done? I've also noticed the car has HML lowering springs as well. Right, so we're getting there nicely. I mean, you can see everything I've just taken off. I will go through it all in a minute once it's all off, but it's a bit annoying. So we need to replace this big old bracket here because this has got what I'm guessing the additional cooler bolts to, so we need a new one of those. But some bright spark decided to, instead of just putting bolts on this side, put a bolt on the inside of the chassis leg for this unit here. So to get to that bolt, I need to take all the rad out, which is a bit annoying. So I'm going to have fun and games. There's some pipes there I've got to try and disconnect just to get to this one bolt, it looks like. So I think you can see it better on this one. So it's this unit here, this bracket here, and there's that bolt just there, tip of my fingers. Looks like there's just one bolt to get to, which is very frustrating. But the good news is everything else seems to be okay. Nothing up here is bent. It all looks good. Carbon brace is all fine. Chassis legs, they're all fine as well. So yeah, it's all, hopefully we can just replace this bracket and right now I'm just going to get this wheel arch removed so I can remove the wing, because there's bolts behind here and there's loads of spiders going on. I'm going to need an 8 and a 10 there for this. Now obviously we need to get the driver's door off as well because that ain't getting repaired. And I've just removed the multi-plug, which is really good on BMW, literally just a multi-plug straight into the shell. So I've unplugged that, which I'm hoping will be all the electrics for the door. And there's one bolt at the top here and one bolt at the bottom here that I've just removed, 255s. So I'm hoping now I can just bring the car back down and just undo the door and the whole thing falls off. I hope it's that simple. Now, you may or may not have seen in that previous couple of clips that I've actually already removed the windscreen and the rear screen, preempting that we need to take the roof off, which is quite major surgery. So I'm just going to show you that clip now of removing the windscreens. Oh, hello. Oh my God. Right, does that just pull off or not? Oh my God. Jesus, this is heavy. Oh, this is a heavy old door. And yeah, it's looking like a bit of a bare shell at the minute, but the good news is there doesn't seem to be any major damage. Like the tub's not bent, it's not dented, it's not cracked, anything like that. So it's looking good so far with the front end anyway, with just basically bolt-on parts. The roof is obviously the main concern, and I just said I preempted, took the windscreen and the rear screen out, because I think I said earlier it's got ripples in the roof. So ideally we need a new roof. So they had availability just to come take the screens out, which is what they have just come and done. So the next main concern is this roof bit here. So I'm going to lower it back down, try and remove this film wrap and just see what the crack is. I don't know how easy this stuff's going to come off. Not very easy at all, I bet. Oh, this is horrible stuff. It'll be a week. Right, back in a minute. Right, that'll have to do for the minute. Absolute nightmare trying to get that stuff off. But this trim around the window is a bit bent up here as well, so no doubt that's going to need replacing. So I think, I don't know if this will just lift out or not. Might be able to keep this, I don't really know. Pops off, so it shouldn't be too bad. Oh yeah, it's only a puff on, but it's bent. You can see there, look, so it's probably going to need replacing. Nice. Got quite a lot of glass around here, so I've got to be careful. Right, so there's the main bit of damage in there, look. And don't know if that's broken or not. Let's try and get this roof gully out as well, just to see what's under that. Well, it looks like this just pulls out as well, so just pull this off, like so. And that reveals our roof. Right, so as well as having a heavy downpour, and my roof now apparently has a massive leak in it, so I've got a half flooded workshop. We have all the parts here, all that were removed. I need to now go through everything and work out what is salvageable and what needs to go in the bin. I've also got to use these parts as a reference so I can order the correct new parts, like the headlight, for example. And yeah, so let's just take a look at the car. We've got pretty much it stripped down, apart from obviously the issue with the roof. Everything else is pretty much taken off. The side skirts do need to come off, but there's only minor damage, and where the damage was, there's no damage to the chassis, so they will just come off absolutely fine. I believe same with this side as well. I have taken the wing off this side as well, and yeah, there's no damage, just at the end of these side skirt is damaged, and that will need to come off. I think the passenger door will be okay. It might need a respray. Obviously you can just see where it's, or just a touch up, to be honest, it's very minor. But this side, I might need a new bracket. It is bent here, so probably gonna need a new bracket there as well. But the good news is that the chassis isn't twisted, not bent, nothing up here is, everything on the front end is good, not twisted. So it would just be a case of bolting on new parts. The bonnet, I believe, is just a little bit damaged there. We might be able to get away with just getting that fixed. Obviously they have a new driver's door. There's no damage here, so it should just be a case of a new door bolting on. Again, fairly simple with the wings as well. Probably need a new bracket here. That might be twisted. I'm not too sure. We need to look at that. But let's just go over to the main issue we're going to have now, and that is this roof. Yeah, I've removed the gully, and I've just started with a bit of, with a pry bar, just started edging away at the bonding, and you can see you've got the holes here, look, where the roof is actually, you can see them, look, there, look, where the roof is riveted on, so they all need drilling out to be able to remove the roof. But my main concern now is actually this C-pillar here, whether that can be repaired. So I think my next step is to actually contact a specialist body shop. I might get them up to come out and assess it, or just send them pictures to see if that can be repaired or not. It might be a case of obviously just pulling out all the damage, checking it, and then obviously repairing it if possible. I think it's okay. The rear windscreen didn't break, so this is all in the correct position here. It looks all fine here. It just looks like it's just caved in here. I'm fairly sure this isn't bent. It just looks probably worse than it is. The rear window probably smashed because it had an impact, not because it was bent or twisted. This looks all okay under here. It's just this bit of impact here. So I'm 85% confident that can be repaired, but I would rather just get a specialist in, or to just assess it and just to have a look. I'm pretty confident the roof will need replacing though. So that is the next steps. I'm pretty sure actually the rest, we do have a rear bumper issue as well, and an exhaust issue, but they are again very minor damage, so that would just be a case of new exhaust, new back box and a new bumper. So I'm not going to be too concerned about that for the moment. And down the near side, yeah, I think everything else down here bar the side skirt is actually okay. Watch the last Q7 video I just did. I ended up putting oil in the engine because I needed to get it out the workshop and back in, so I needed to be able to move it around. So I ended up just sticking about 5.5 litres of oil in, which should be okay considering the oil cooler is missing off the front. Yeah, it drives absolutely fine. The engine now sounds absolutely fine. So yeah, we are going to concentrate first of all on this roof section because it's the biggest part that concerns me, and I am going to fit a carbon roof. A lot of you guys said in the comments about having a carbon roof fitted, and I am going to go down that road. So I've just started stripping it here so we can have a look. There's loads of little spot welds here we need to just drill out, and then it's bonded on. I think we need to drop the roof lining down, get all that out of the way, and then hopefully just be able to peel the roof off. I haven't ordered a carbon roof yet. I'm just wanted to get the roof off first just to make sure everything's okay before I pulled the trigger and bought them, because they're about 1,800 quid, so it's not cheap. I have had someone out to have a look at this, and they said you're best off just like getting the roof off first, and then they can have a look at trying to repair that. So this isn't obviously going to be all in one video. This is quite a long process doing everything I've just mentioned, so you just have to bear with me. I'm going to go over some other bits as well, like how much I paid for the car, and how much things are costing as well. I'm going to keep track of that because I think this is going to be quite expensive build. I didn't anticipate how much parts are going to cost. Like for example, there's a guy on eBay who wants 650 quid for a door, which is a lot. It's a lot more than I've paid for doors in the past, so I might just have to bite the bullet and do that. just everything's really expensive for this car. There's nothing that's shouting out that's actually going to be quite cheap. So slightly concerning at this point, but I did pay a lot less than for the car than I thought it would be worth, if that makes sense, being obviously crash damage. But then again, now spending probably an extra £2.5 repairing the roof, which is £2.5 more than I allocated for the roof repair, it's going to eat into that budget quite a lot. Currently, the workshop is an absolute mess. There's just loads of old parts there. I've got nowhere to put them. I don't have a commercial waste here, so I have just ordered a skip, which will be coming on Monday, so I can properly just clear all the rubbish out, because it just gets to a stage where I have a build-up of crap, and I just need to get rid of it, and yeah, it just looks absolutely horrendous. So, it isn't raining at the minute, so I am going to take this opportunity to work on the car outside while we can, and we are going to start off with dropping the headliner here, and yeah, getting a good look at the roof corner here, because I do believe it has dipped slightly here, so we do need to have a look at that. Yeah, so to do that, let's crack on and get this headliner out. So with the headlining all now out, we can have a first glance at the damage under here, and nothing too major, I don't think. There's a little bit of crumple here, but I'm not too sure yet. But what I'm actually going to do first is actually going to get a hammer and hammer this out as much as I can, just to try and get everything back in the correct position before I start taking stuff off. I've just quickly mock fitted the broken carbon lip, and it actually looks very good. That's exactly, annoyingly, what I want. Yeah, just this one's seen better days, although it's not horrendous, but it's just, yeah, too far gone. And also, quickly before I show you the roof, I have just got delivered a upgraded oil cooler, which is 40% bigger than a standard one. And the reason I got it is because it came with the hoses as part of the upgrade, and the hoses is what I need also, so saved a good chunk of money over OEM. Right, onto the roof. As you can see, I've just put a protective cover sheet all over the inside. This was over here. Just managed to find its way off. The inside to protect the interior, because obviously I've hit the roof all out, so it's pretty much in a normal-ish shape as much as I can get it. So I need to now try and remove the roof. I've just removed all 4 screws, which was just an E14, and they came out really easy, to be fair, just little screws that go into the roof. 4 of those, they're out, and now I've got all the where the roof's been spot welded. You can see there, look. But I'm not going to drill it, because I don't want to go through the second surface here, because it's really thin, look. So I think I'm just going to grind it off. I'll just have to grind through every spot weld, and hopefully that won't penetrate then the second layer. That's why I'm going to give it a go first anyway. I'm probably going to start doing this corner and maybe see if I can just start chiseling it up and go from there. Right, as you probably just saw, I've put it on a few time lapses, but yeah, the time lapses are very long. This is taking forever. I tried grinding them, but grinding with all the sparks, and it's really hard to tell once you've ground through the spot weld and then not into the actual body parts. So I've just resorted back to drilling, and I'm just drilling really carefully, and that seems to be working better, to be honest. So I've managed to get halfway down the rear panel. I might even need to replace this yet, I don't know. And I've started drilling out, you can see, look, along here, but God, it is a long old process, and I'm not even quarter of the way through yet. And this is the easy bit, because I don't have to take as much care here at the moment, because obviously this is getting repaired / replaced. So it's going to be on the top side and the front, along the front here, or anything sort of here onwards, where I've got to be really careful. But yeah, this is taking forever. So I'm probably now just going to leave off the time lapse, and I'm going to skip forward probably about 3 weeks when I've got them all out. Now, I've watched 2 different roof removals on a BMW M2, and I've gone a bit rogue, and I've done something neither of those videos did. I've cut the roof out. There she is. Now, I haven't removed it, I've cut it out. And that is because I just couldn't see how I was going to remove it properly without damaging anything underneath. Even with drilling the welds out, you still need a chisel to get under there and just prise it out. And I just couldn't see how, obviously with the roof here and still being quite rigid, how I was going to get under these bits and just do it without damaging the A, B, C pillar. So I thought my best bet is to just cut the roof off, which is what I've done. I've completely cut it off. Luckily, no damage whatsoever, so that's good, because there was a nice bit of clearance. But now, all I've got to do is just drill these spot welds out and just basically peel it off, and hopefully do absolutely no damage to the rest of the car whatsoever. That is my thinking anyway. So I'm either missing something or I've been a genius. I'm not too sure at the minute, but it literally took me 5 minutes to cut out really thin sheet metal. So yeah, so I'm going to carry on now. We'll get this last bit out, and yeah, we'll assess the damage. Right, fast forward to the next day, and the roof is off. Every last bit is now off. I haven't cleaned everything up yet. I literally just got everything off, but I'm very glad that I cut out the section of roof before I removed the rest of the trim, because it made getting all this trim off here look just so much easier. And the best thing about it is I managed to do it without so much as using a screwdriver or anything down this side, which means I didn't have to damage anything. It was just a simple case of drilling these out, and luckily, because the roof was quite thin, I literally didn't have to do much at all, and then I could just peel it with my hands. I literally just drilled, peel, and it came off. And that's another good thing about that, is because I didn't have to get anything in there to lever it, it didn't distort the roof line at all. Excuse me. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, so I can just peel it off, didn't distort the roof, didn't damage the roof, absolutely spot on. Now, what I did also find, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are going to be converting your steel roof to a carbon roof, but a tip, down the sides here where it was a bit more rigid, I used the drill, because obviously it's just more solid and it was easily done. But these bits across here, look, as you can see, look, they move quite a bit. So when I'm trying to push down and drill, it's just bending this and it's bending the trim, and it just isn't ideal. So I ended up using the grinder to grind these bits off, and again, then once I've ground through, again, just peel it off, and that just kept everything a lot more cleaner, especially across the front here as well with the windscreen. So again, obviously using the grinder, didn't distort anything, and just managed to pull it off. So the roof's fully removed. I have just got to go around and just remove the like body filler stuff here, get rid of all that, and also while I was out driving this morning, I had the body shop come over, and they just did a load of measurements just to check the roof line to make sure it wasn't bent. And the good news is, I think I've been very lucky. They said all the measurements look good, can't find anything, this should just be a simple repair. They said I've been very lucky because where the hole in the roof was right here in the middle, and it didn't impact the structural bars. So they said I've just been very lucky basically, and it hasn't distorted any framework, any chassis, any body lines or anything like that. So it should just be a simple case of getting this outer skin pulled and fixed in the body shop, which I have got it booked in to do. The carbon roof has been ordered. Only downside is though, I have no idea when it's going to turn up. I'm still just waiting from the supplier to confirm an estimated delivery date, because they've had to go for the people they buy it from to request an ETA basically. So unfortunately, I just don't know how long it could be a week, it could be a month for all I know. So I'll just have to keep you updated on that one. But the good news is obviously we've got loads of other things on the car to do. So now I know the roof's good, we can then start cracking on with the other stuff. So one of the things that has been bugging me for a while, well ever since I got the car, is this exhaust. Although I didn't have anything to compare it to, it just looked bigger than a stand. I was like, a stock exhaust, I swear isn't that big. And I've now got a second-hand exhaust. Very annoyingly, I ordered this before I put the last video up, and then I mentioned about the exhaust, and I had about 5 or 6 people DM me saying, I've got an M2 exhaust if you want it. So thank you very much for everyone that did offer to send me that old M2 exhaust, but I'd already bought one, so it's too late. But it has confirmed my suspicions that the exhaust on this is smaller. However, the exhaust itself is the same. All they've done is change the tips for bigger tips. So I'm happy now that the exhaust is correct. It's the same exhaust. I'm not putting a standard one on when it's had an aftermarket one on. That's not the case. They've just literally just changed the tips. So, yeah, I guess now I think I've ordered a new rear bumper as well. We've got cracks here, 2 there. It's been pushed in here, so it's a bit creased. They're not the end of the world. I would have been happy to repair those, but the reason that I'm not going to repair, and also actually there's quite bad damage here as well, which would have been a bit more trickier. But the reason I have decided not to repair the bumper is this bit. Look, so where the diffuser would sit in, it's just all bent, twisted, and trying to manipulate that back would be an absolute nightmare. So I've just bought a whole new bumper with a diffuser, so hopefully we can just swap that straight over. So let me just catch a breath and breathe. My crash damaged M2 Competition that I bought has just got a lot more interesting. Now, the previous owner actually reached out to me on Instagram, and I've got a lot more details about the car and about what happened. And let's just say, there's a reason he spun it. But the first thing I'm going to do is quickly give this workshop a little clean, because it is horrific at the minute, and yeah, it's just an absolute mess. A lot of parts turn up now. I've just been to BMW to collect a load of random loose parts that are going to go all on the front end. So we have a box of goodies to try and work out where they go there. We have a brand new headlight, which I need to try and swap the motors over from the old headlight to make sure it's okay. We have our standard exhaust here. We have additional cooler that was broken on the other one. We have our uprated. Well, I bought it uprated because it was cheaper, but now it's a very good reason it's updated. Uprated oil cooler with pipes. We have a rear bumper complete with diffuser. And I'm still awaiting some other bits. I've got a pile of rubbish over here as well that I haven't thrown away yet, because I think there might be some valuable bits on there that I may need. I mean, such as the horn, and there's also some bolts and clips that I possibly may need as well. So I haven't thrown those away. Now I have ordered 2 wings, which I'm waiting to turn up. Neither are going to be in the right colour, but at this stage it's just going to be test fitting them. I also have a new bracket for this, because as you can see it's twisted. So we're going to be doing some front end work and hopefully get into the stage where we can actually run the engine up to temperature with a fully fitted oil cooler and additional cooler. We can get coolant in the system, oil in the system, and run the engine up for the first time properly. Yeah, we've got a wing here. So see, I need to order another one of them, look, because that's twisted. It's just like loads. I'm going to get loads of little bits like that I can't see off the face of it that I need, but once putting things together I need. I've got 2 new side skirts coming as well. I want to chuck a door in the skip because it's just sat there, but I need to get it painted first. I can't swap over the door cards without it all being painted. So that's going to the body shop tomorrow, I believe, to be painted. So then I can swap everything over, fit the door so that's all done, and then chuck that one in the bin. But yeah, we're going to start with this headlight because it's very expensive. Pretty sure I'm going to have to remortgage the house, and I just want to be able to check that these modules are okay. But first I'm going to tell you what exactly happened to this car and why it isn't what I thought. So he was just going down the road, I think pretty much in a straight line. I don't know if it was wet or not, but the back end kicked out. He ended up going off the road into a ditch, and then like bounced out the ditch and then into a field across, like just skidded across a field. Now that does explain why there was the under trays damaged so much. That explains why there's so much dirt all in the exhaust. And yeah, he said the impact corner is the corner that hit the ditch. So the roof, I'm guessing maybe a branch or a tree went through between some trees and caught a tree. I don't know, but it's pretty much what we expected it to be anyway. But the reason he couldn't keep it in a straight line is because it isn't standard. Now standard, this car should have 410 horsepower. It is what I assumed the power output of this car to be. But I think a few of you mentioned in the last video that you saw it had decat downpipes on, so non-genuine downpipes, and that would indicate that it's probably not standard, because for decats to be fitted you need to map the engine ECU to tell it has no sports cats or catalytic converters, so you don't get an engine management light. And usually once you're doing that, you would go to a stage 1 or a 2 map, which would produce, I'm not 100% sure on this, if it's anything like the M3 M4, which it has the exact same engine, that should be about 530 horsepower. Do let me know if I'm wrong, but this has got even more than that. So this actually has 2 upgraded hybrid turbos, and it has over 600 horsepower. I think it was dynoed at 600, but it had a few map tweaks after that, and it's believed to be about 630 horsepower. And also the gearbox has been remapped as well. So I'm glad I found that out, because the first drive would have been very interesting, not realizing I had over 50% more power than stock. So yeah, this car has just got a lot more interesting and a lot more exciting actually, because I now have a 630 brake rear wheel drive M2 that I've now got to try and keep in a straight line and not put into a ditch. So I don't know how well, I'm holding my finger on it, but this little connector here, my thumb's on, has broken off, and the 5 solder joints have all come off. I'm going to try, I think I've got a little soldering iron, I'm going to try and just solder them back on. Don't know how it's going to go. So now I've got to put the headlight on pause. We're going to concentrate on the exhaust and bumper, get these out of the way. So yeah, take the bumper off, get the new exhaust on, get the new bumper on, and that should be the rear end pretty much complete. You know it's going to be a bad day when literally the first bolt you come to is completely rounded, due to the fact that the bolts were ridiculously tight. Now I'd be surprised if any one of those wheel bolts was less than 200 Newton meters. Ridiculous. So annoyingly, we're going to have to pause working on the rear again. I need a new heat shield. I mean, I've tried to manipulate it a little bit, but if I'm honest, it's only a little one here. Only comes up to here, look, so I'd rather just replace it, then it's 100% then. So I'm going to have to pause that while I order. I mean, this is always going to happen. We're always going to get to stages like this where I'm fitting something and then all of a sudden I need another part that I didn't foresee, and I'm now going to have to order that part. Hopefully it's in stock, so it'll be like next day, and then we can get that delivered. So going to pause working on the rear for the moment. Old bumper's off anyway, yeah, pretty straightforward. Just new one's ready to go on with the exhaust. So once we get that heat shield, that can then be the rear end done. So we're now going to move on to the front of the car. Hopefully we'll have better luck with the front end. Now this box here I basically sat through about 15 dealer fed images of the front end and just picked what I thought I needed on the front end of this car. So this is literally like a pick and mix. Some bits I may even not need, I don't know. I just thought I'll go through and have a look. So obviously we've got the obvious under tray there, and you can see this is where the oil cooler sits in that recess underneath. Don't know what that is. We have some ducts for the radiator, along with, don't know what that is, and more air ducts, along with a leg, which I'm not actually sure if I need. That I do need. That's the near side front leg, lower. A couple of clips, a couple more clips. We've got here bracket. Oh, that's the exhaust bracket that I need. Right, so the day might be getting slightly better, but also slightly worse. Now, I found out the reason why I couldn't find any fittings for my oil cooler, and that is because this old one here, this unit here, look, which went like that. That is my fittings for my oil cooler, and as you can see, look, they were missing. So that has also made me realise that that is also an oil cooler fitting, and it's missing as well. So I do need another new one this side. I thought I could just, it was just them end bits that are a little bit bent, I could just bend them back, but alas, that is not the case. So I need a new one of these as well, so I'm going to order that. So that can be our oil cooler fitted. I have just got a text and a phone call to say my parts are in. So I'm now hopeful this video is going to be okay in the end. Now I'm just in the process of getting my oil cooler parts out, because we are actually not only going to replace the oil cooler, we are also going to replace the pipes for braided pipes as well. Now I've just removed the air box and followed the lines up, and they go behind the rad here and into the oil filter housing here. So we've got two pipes here. There's my makeshift little join so I could start the engine. So I'm just going to disconnect that, drain off any oil, and then because obviously the connections are at the top of the engine, I shouldn't have any problems with oil coming out. And then yeah, I'm gonna work out how to fit these together, because I've got a few coupling connectors, and then connect them, and hopefully I don't have to remove the rad, and I can just drop them down the back. I'm not 100% sure because it's quite tight in there, so yeah, we'll give it a go. So luckily removing the pipes isn't too bad. As you can see, it's quite accessible at the top there. There is a bolt that's holding both pipes to the engine halfway down the radiator at the back there, which is what I'm spending most of my time trying to do. Now the oil cooler is quite easy to fit, just a couple of couplings, one each side, and obviously I haven't got my bolts for my oil cooler yet, so I've had to just hold it in place with cable ties, which isn't the end of the world, so that's absolutely fine. Now moving on to the offside front, building it up, we have my cage here, which my additional water cooler sits inside. Luckily the hose connections to the back of the water cooler were not damaged in the crash, so they can plug straight in. And I've also got a few ducts as well, one at the top, one at the bottom, and a main air duct as well, which directs air from the front bumper into the additional radiators. Now moving on to the near side front, I've just got my additional water cooler cage, which was bent, so I'm just replacing that along with the main air duct on the front there, just to keep it 100% and yeah, make it just look as good as new. Right, so it feels like we're making progress. I have both, well, I have this corner pretty much fully built up now. I think I'm just waiting for, no, I think this corner's actually built up. This corner, I've fitted the new bracket, but for some reason my air duct didn't turn up, so I'm missing that still, and also I've just ordered this. So once I get both of those, I can finish this corner off, and then I've got the under tray bit, I've got that, so that will go across the bottom, and I've also ordered my oil cooler bolts as well. So then that should be, like, I've just fitted that radiator, and I've just poured some water in. I noticed that the coolant in this is blue, not the pink stuff that I normally have, so I need to order some blue coolant. So yeah, the cooling system and the oil system should now all be fully sealed up tight. So I have just poured some water in. I'm going to fit the exhaust now as well, because we have the hanger, and then we're going to go for a start and see what 630 brake sounds like. Yeah, so yeah, good progress. Front's pretty much done. I've just got to put back together the parts that I removed that were in good order, that didn't need replacing. So yeah, we are finally getting there. I've got a couple of wings turning up this weekend as well. Front bumper, haven't fully sorted yet, but yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, that's the least of my worries at the moment. So yeah, the roof is still a week or two away. Just got a little soldering kit turn up as well, so we're going to try and solder that little unit in the headlight, and then we'll test the headlights, and then we're going to fit the exhaust and the rear bumper. Right, I've just soldered that back on, and I'm not going to lie, it looks awful, but if it does the job, it does the job. You can't really see, but the solder joints just look they just look a bit tacky. I mean, it's the first time I've soldered since year 8, I think, but there's no doubt that they are definitely all soldered on independently. So if it works just as well, just looks a bit rubbish, but you can't see it anyway, so it doesn't matter. I've just put a little bit of bond on the coupling itself, just the connector itself, so it doesn't become loose again. So I'm gonna leave that for dry for 10 minutes while we fit the exhaust and bumper. Unfortunately, we're coming into winter now, so I'm going to have to deal with rain on the roof, so apologies for the noise of the rain. It does come across really badly on camera, but rear end is all back together, exhaust is looking sweet, nicely in position, bumper's all on. There's a bit of damage on the bumper here that wasn't in the item description when I bought it, so I'm having a bit of a conflict with them at the minute, but this should now... Rear end, beautiful, complete. So I think if we just go over to the front, everything here is in order, oil cooler's plugged in, all the lines are plumbed in, all done up. There's some water in it, so hopefully should be no leaks. There's oil in it, water. I think we can go for a start. So yeah, let's have a listen and see what 630 brake sounds like. Well, it was 630 brake before, but now I know it is. Really quiet. You wouldn't know it, that's for sure. Just go around and have a look. And check the oil leaks up here as well. Make sure it's not coming out. Make sure there's no coolant or oil coming out anywhere. All looking good. Can we change the mode? Oh, there we go, the valve's definitely open then. Sport Plus. Whoa, that is loud. It's very much giving me C63 vibes here, not the noise itself, but the fact that it's really quiet on idle, but when you rev it, it's ridiculously loud. I mean, that's like 3,000 RPM, and I daren't rev it any louder than that. I hate it because it never comes across on camera, but it is so loud. Well, I've just plugged the headlights in with my refurbished control module. Now, I'm really hoping these work because obviously very expensive, about 900 quid a side. So that's going to be one of the main problems solved if it works. So let's just turn the ignition on. Running lights, so that's the side that wasn't broken. Running lights, LED headlights working. Ah no, me running lights aren't working, but my LED's working. So yeah, I guess my failed attempt at, I'm guessing this is an LED running light control module. So my attempt at repairing it has failed, and I need a new one. But oh well, a bit annoying, but there we go, I'll have to order a new one of them then. But the LED works, the headlight works, so kind of good news. So as you know, I've had to wait, well, it turned out to be 6 weeks for this carbon roof, and I have just put it in position. I got it out of the box, didn't know where else to put it, so I put it on the roof, and I've just like sort of test fitted it. I've put all my 4 screws in just to make sure everything is all good, especially down this side here, and I've measured all my gaps. They're all absolutely spot on, as I knew they would be anyway, because I've obviously done all the measurements already. So look how good that looks though. I mean, it almost looks gloss black from here, which is annoying. I don't know if I can get a better look at the carbon. No, you can, it's hard to tell really, but they're kind of, but it just looks so good, especially on a white car. Now, I do have a little bit of an issue. Now, I have contacted the supplier of the roof, but if you can see here, look, it doesn't sit flush. Now, I know it's got to be bonded on and everything, but you can see where the roof just comes up at the end, and it comes up this side as well. And carbon being carbon, it's very stiff, so I can push it down, but it's taking quite a lot of force to do that, and it's only meant to be glued on. So I'm thinking, well, is that really right? Should it not be sitting flush like that all the way along, side to side? So I have just contacted them, and I'm waiting for a reply back because they've had to go to the manufacturer. So that is why we can't actually fit the roof, annoyingly, in today's video. But we can get on with some other stuff, because I've actually just chucked on some parts that I've received over the last sort of couple of weeks, and that is a front wing here, luckily in the right colour, another wing in the wrong colour this side, and also my door has been painted. So we might as well start with the door, and this is just literally a complete bare door. There is nothing in it whatsoever, so we need to transfer absolutely everything over from the old door. So yeah, we'll start by stripping down the old door.
So we're going to remove the door card first, and that's just 2 screws at the bottom and 3 screws on the door handles, and then the whole door card just pulls off with a little bit of force. Now there's this foam cover here, and that's held on with really sticky stuff, which is best described as like sticky blue tack. Now we need to remove that to get to all the gubbins. Now we're just going to remove all our wiring, and then pull that out the door at a later date, because at the minute it's a bit jumbled up amongst other stuff. To remove our glass, there is just 2 screws. You have to kind of pull the window up a little bit, undo the screws at the back, and then you can pull the glass out. And then we need to remove our window regulator, which is just 4 screws. It's quite simple, that one, and just manage to wiggle it out just like that. And that gives us access to remove the rest of our wiring, which we'll do in a second. The door handles are next, which are quite simple. The door lock barrel, there's just a screw in the inside of the door, undo that, removes the barrel, and then you can just pull the handle out. And now we have access to remove all our wiring, pull that from the side of the door, and you can just pull it all out.
Right, so I've now removed all the wiring, everything from the door, and it took absolutely ages because I haven't stripped one of these before, so I had no idea what I was doing really. But everything is now stripped. A good hour and a half probably just to strip it. And we've got the wiring here, there's a few trims here, and all the parts up here, look. So you can just see how much there is to remove. So I'm now just going to put it on a time lapse and fit everything to this door, just because it's taken so long. And you've already seen me strip it, so yeah, hopefully it won't take too much longer. I've also got a box of stuff here, loads of other bits like the new part here, and just loads of other bits for the front end to finish that off. I don't yet have a bumper. That's the only thing I don't have, but today we should be able to get the whole front end built up and just needs a bumper plonking on. Yes, this new side's a bit of a pain in the arse, whereas this side, the brackets are on the outside. You can see it's bolted to the outside, so it's quite easy to undo the bolts. On this one, the bolts are on the inside, so I've literally had to take the whole, well, it's either take the whole radiator pack out, which is a lot of ag, because I'd have to disconnect the coolant lines again, or I have to remove the whole, basically the chassis leg, which I've done, and pull the whole thing out, so then I can gain access to these bolts. Bit of a pain in the arse, but we are getting there. Well, that's the front lower arm all back in, and you can tell this one, the other one was bent because, I don't know if you can see it, but it was rubbing on the anti-roll bar, so it was bent, what, a good sort of 12 millimeters, which was actually visible to the eye, so I'm glad I replaced that. The other thing I've now refitted all this corner here, so that is all in position. It's been a bit of a pain in the arse, if I'm honest. I've tried 3 times now to try and get the rubber grommets, because there's always rubber grommets that sit in between intercoolers, radiators, etc., and the chassis due to the vibrations. And this one should be no different, but I've tried to contact the dealer 3 or 4 times, and every time they come back saying there is no rubber grommets. Now, and that is because I've just found out that the rubber grommets are part of the oil cooler. You can't buy them separately. So I was like, well, hang about. Rubber grommets, obviously perishable items. So when they do perish, you need to buy 3 new rubber grommets. You're telling me I have to buy a whole new oil cooler. And he was like, yep, do you want me to take that up with BMW? I said, no, don't bother, I can't be asked. So I've just gone on Amazon and ordered a rubber bung kit. So that's gonna be enough to basically sit in the holes in here. So then I can have my rubber damping between the chassis and the cooler. So yet again, I'm having to put that on hold, fixing that. Now, moving on to the wheel. So this is the one that was the near side front. This is the one that was punctured. And instead of buying, because this is what, I think it's about 6 mil. So instead of buying 2 brand new tyres, so they're both obviously the same, I managed to find a used, but exactly the same tyre, also 6 mil. Actually, I think this is nearer probably 7 mil if I'm honest. But it's an identical tyre, and it was half the price of one tyre. That was, I think, that new, something like 180 quid these days. I think I paid 90 for that, which is obviously a lot better than buying 2 new front ones. The rears are actually the wrong size, so that might be part of the reason that he flew into a field. There are 2 5.5s on this, where I think they should be 2 6.5s, and you can quite clearly see that it's a bit stretched as well. So yeah, they've got the wrong tyres on them, so that doesn't help. So 2 new tyres will be going on the back of this. So I'm not doing very well here, just trying to take the tyre off, and yeah, my TPS sensor is smashed to bits, so that's great. So I need another one of them now as well. Fantastic. So I've just refit the tyre for now. I have ordered a TPMS sensor, won't be here for a few days, but the wheels need to be refurbed anyway, so I think I'm just going to get them to fit the sensor when they take the tyre off to refurb it, which is also why I haven't bothered balancing it. This is just purely for road test purposes, and so we're not driving around with a flat tyre. Now, I forgot to mention, I didn't actually buy this additional water cooler from BMW directly. I bought it from a specialist supplier called LLL Parts. Now, I'll put a link to them in my description. They supply genuine parts to loads of German manufacturers, such as Audi, Volkswagen, Mercedes, BMW, etc. And it was just cheaper than the main dealer. So yeah, great service, and I'll put a link in my description to them. Right, so this has been a massive pain. I'm not going to lie, this has been a massive pain in the ass because it was all smashed to bits and there was just loads of parts missing. And I'm not familiar with BMWs. It was a lot harder to try and work out what parts I had missing, what I needed to renew. So the amount of times I've been backwards and forwards to the dealer to pick up parts and then work out what other parts I need is a joke. I think we're now just left with this duct here that I just need to buy. I thought I did order it before, but I obviously didn't. Probably just got confused and mixed up with the amount of parts I'm ordering. So just waiting for that, and obviously my grommets, which will be coming. But I think we're in a position now where we can actually start putting the front end back on. So it's all down here, the cross member, the crash bar, the top part as well, just to clear up this space here and get rid of some mess basically, because this is a lot of mess. So my little grommets have turned up, perfect fit in there. I'm going to put another harder rubber grommet on the top of that as well, just to give it a little bit more extra vibration damping. I'll fit the other 2 as well, and then we can finally build up this bloody front end and get that oil cooler fitted properly. So I'm just going to start picking things up from the floor down here and start hoping that they fit to the front end somehow, because it's been so long. I'm not familiar with BMWs. I can't remember where most things go, so it's just kind of a put things up and hope they go in. Bet you I've got to undo all that again. I told you I'd have to undo all this again. I had these 2 like covers, protective covers. I had no idea where they went. Now, after about 20 minutes of research online, I've managed to work out where they go, and I don't know really what they do. They don't seem to really serve a purpose in my mind, but they sit behind this bar here, up against one of the radiators just behind here. So I'm gonna have to remove both of those to put them on. Cheers. And there we go, look, got them little trims in that goes behind this panel, and their job is actually to hold this scoop in place at the front here. So this massive scoop here actually clips into it there, and they actually just sit on top of the chassis, look, and just clip into the chassis. So that was the job of that, and I told you I'd have to take that back off again. Right, there we go, we are getting there. That is the front end pretty much back together, bar a front bumper. Yes, I know I've got like wheel arch liners, the wings to sort out and everything, but that's mainly paint. The wheel arch liners will be the last thing to go on. I do still have a small issue of parking wiring, which seems to be broken off here. I do have a little wiring loom somewhere which only has 2 sensors on, so I don't know if there's just a loom from each side that has 2 wiring sensors on. I'm not sure yet, but again, that'll be the last thing I do. So yeah, everything is back together. Managed to get all my vents in the right place. This vent went here in front of the cooler, and yeah, it's just a bit of a puzzle, but everything is now back on, and I've got the whole front end on as well, the top bit, and obviously the carbon brace is all on now. So there's one thing I want to do, and I'm sure you lot are going mad at it as well, and this engine bay is filthy. So give me 10 minutes, maybe half an hour, and let's see what we can make this look like. Looks pretty nice now. So what I'm going to do now is going to bring it on the floor, and I do need to have a look at this headlight because the DRL is not working. Now, I know some of you said it needs to be coded, but I don't think it should, because that is the original unit of the car. So as far as the car's concerned, nothing's changed, and it is already coded. Maybe because it's a new headlight, but then the modules on the headlight are the same. So I'm unsure whether it's a coding issue or not. So let's just get it down on the ground and see if I can plug the computer in and have a look. I've actually just remembered about my dodgy attempt at soldering. Now, it doesn't work. It still doesn't work. I've tried coding it, but I think I was right in saying that because it's the standard module from the old headlight anyway, there's nothing that needs coding. There doesn't seem to be anything in the headlight itself, the new headlight, that requires any coding. So I just think my DRL is just not working. So I do need to get a new module for that. So that's another thing added to the list. But now the car's on the ground, it drives, everything's fine with it, like engine-wise. There's no reason why I can't now drive. So I'm going to take it on a first little road test up and down the drive. So I mean, I've got wires hanging down everywhere, as obvious, but this is actually got a flat battery in the remote as well. Might not start. Come on. I am holding it up to the remote. Come on. There we go. First proper test drive. This is weird. Oh well. Something's loose. Right, let's have another go. I left the one of the bolts loose for the steering arm, which I forgot. Quite smoky, but then it does have decants. Very windy. This is probably coming across terrible on camera. So that is, to be fair, that sounds pretty stock. Now let's put it valves open. Sport Plus. Oh, the difference is insane. Right, let's just go down there. See, from here it just looks like normal condensation. It just smells like really bad fumes. It has got decats, so I'm unsure what's normal or not. Let me know in the comments. It might just need a good drive, to be honest. Obviously, it's got a different system on it, so I don't know what crap's in that system as well. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But at the minute, it seems to be okay. Let's just give it a rev. See, look, it seems to be all right now, so I'm not 100% sure, if I'm honest. Once I've done all my measurements, I knew the roof was all in a good position, I sent it off to the body shop, who then filled all the holes, pulled them all out, primed it over, and then repainted the car back to its original Hockenheim silver. But all dented, completely creased all around here. They had to paint all this quarter panel because I also had a random dent here as well, so they painted the whole thing. But it looks absolutely epic now, completely perfect. And it now means that we can now fit the carbon roof. So it should be fairly straightforward. I've only got to glue it on, which seems ridiculous. But I've had a look at videos, I've spoken to those people, I've spoken to the manufacturer of the carbon roof. You just need to glue it on. I do have some structural adhesive, so yeah, it'll be just glued along the edges basically. So all down here, all down this bit, not this bit, not this at all either. And just down the front here. We will have to put some like caulk here. I think that just stops maybe the vibrations. I'm not 100%. I probably shouldn't have actually removed it, but I did. So we do need to just clean up all these welds here, clean up down here as well, just sand it so it's a nice smooth surface, ready for the glue. I've also got this nicely packaged bumper as well, which is in orange, I believe, so I'm going to trial fit this. So yeah, nice orange bumper, tiny little bit of damage around here which can be repaired, no problem. Obviously needs to be painted Hockenheim silver, but yeah, I just need to get some front grills. Now the funny thing with the front grills is you can get these from BMW for about 180 odd quid. So I was like, yeah, no worries, I'll just order a bumper without the grills on because it was working out a bit cheaper than ones that were selling with the grills. So I was like, yeah, no worries, I'll just get this one, get it delivered as well, which will save me a lot of time, and I'll just go buy some grills from BMW. So yeah, I found at BMW, was like, yeah, 180 quid, but we can't get any till March. Apparently there's a massive back order with kidney grills, and the next batch isn't available till March. None for sale second hand, unless you want a carbon one, which is about 400 quid, which is what I paid for the whole bumper. Now I have booked the windscreen people to come out and fit the rear screen, quarter window and the front window on Friday. It's currently Wednesday afternoon. I do need to go pick up this side window from BMW. I'll do that in the morning, but it's kind of late on a Wednesday now. So what I wanted to do is get this roof fitted, clamped into position and left overnight for it to cure, and then we can fit the headlining, because that is one thing I must remember. I cannot fit the headlining if the rear and front screens are in, so I need to do that before they fit the screens on Friday. So with the dust sheet all now fitted, the first thing I'm going to do is just go over the front here and just grind down all these protruding spot welding marks here, so it's just nice and flush. I'll do that around the whole thing, and then I'll come back with a sanding disc and just rough up these edges here just so everything's nicely prepped. Right, now I'm going to go and do the same thing again, but with the sanding wheel this time. So that's all the prep on the car itself done. We just need to now prep the carbon roof, just rough up the edges, which I have already done, and then clean them all down so it's ready to fit to the car. I will just go over the car now with a cleaning solution just to make sure everything is nice and clean. Now, this is the tricky bit. I don't know what the working time is with the glue, but I need to work quickly and try and not make a mess. So I'm doing what the instructions say. I'm putting a nice bead all the way around the car, and then what I need to do is just spread it evenly across the surface, which I'm doing with my finger. I just found it was the easiest way to do it. They did say use a brush, but the brush was not, it was just making a mess. So my finger was the best way to do it, and it actually worked out quite well. Now, I didn't have any help here, so I'm trying to get the carbon roof on my own, which was a little bit tricky, but I managed to place it just so it didn't, you can see it wobbling. I managed to place it just so it didn't affect any of the glue. A bit of a staggered fit across it looked like this. And then just pop around the other side to pop it into position, and that, to be fair, worked a treat. And then it was a case of just putting my 4 bolts in, which all went in nice and easily. And once I've got those in, I put my clamps all in 4 corners of the car and a few in the middle as well, and then just tighten the bolts up fully, and that is the roof in position. Right, it's the next morning now, and I think the roof is okay. It does say allow like 24 hours for it to dry, so I'm not going to take the clamps off just yet. I'm going to wait towards the end of the day, but it is all pretty rock solid there, and I think it's all good. But yeah, looks really good. Let me just clean up the roof just so it's obviously very dusty at the moment, and let's see how good it looks. Oh, just look at that. How good. Let me just try and go up higher. How good does that look? That looks so good. Oh, it's going to absolutely mega when it's all done. Finishing touch for the carbon roof is the shark fin aerial, which I do have here. Again, nicely carbon fibre. It's just a shell at the moment, so we have to get the old aerial and just plonk it on top. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Again, that gets bonded on, so I'll glue that into position. And then what we'll do is go ahead and take all the interior, all this protective back out, and we need to fit the headliner. It's going to be a struggle to do all the clamps in place, so I might actually start with the front bumper, just give that a few more hours curing time. So yeah, we'll get the front bumper and hook her up. Now quickly before we attempt to fit that bumper, we just want to check out the wiring, because there are some unanswered wiring problems on the front here, mainly the parking sensors, but also the ambient temperature. So the car thinks it's -40 all the time, and I think it's this wire here, which is the ambient temperature or outside temperature, because it's the only wire that I seem to be missing or don't know what it's for. And yeah, the car doesn't know how hot or cold it is outside, so I think it's to do with that. The parking sensors, I think I've worked it out. It's this connector block here. So this is the old wiring loom from the old bumper, and as we can see, it pretty much marries up straight away with this plug, so that's confident it plugs into there. We have 4 parking sensors on the front. We've only got 2 left on here, but you can see that each sensor takes 3 wires. And if you look over here, look, we have a cutaway, and there are 6 wires there that are missing. So therefore, that is all of our 4 sensors of this one loom, because that's my other worry. I wasn't sure if that was just another sensor for that side, but it is not. So I have a new loom coming. I do need some more sensors as well. I've got 2. That one's broken. The other 2 are okay, so I do need 2 sensors. So that's that sorted for the moment. Let's get this bumper on. And there we have it, test fit complete, and it fits beautifully, just like I'd expect. Now I've just put 1 bolt in each bumper to the wing, just so we can make sure everything lines up fine. I mean, don't get me wrong, the wing is loose, the bumper's loose, the bonnets might need adjusting, but it actually might be okay. I haven't even done the bolts up tight on the bumper here. I just wanted to check my gaps, and the gaps are all spot on, apart from this front bit here, which again is because I just haven't bolted the bumper properly. So when I bolt it properly, it will sit better like that. And we do need a slight repair to the bumper here anyway. But But no, fits really nice, and around the corner here as well. Again, I've only got just one bolt in, and I didn't do it tight, it was just to grab it, just to check fitment. And also we need a repair to this wing as well, because it's just pushed in for some reason slightly here, so it just needs popping back out. So yeah, fitment is good. Just checking the lines down the front here, as you can see. Beautiful. So that is all the bodywork done apart from the side skirts. I have one side skirt up there, but because it's quite tricky to do without the ramp. Actually, is it tricky to do with the ramp? Might try and fit that side skirt as well, actually, just up there. Oh, that was actually, I mean, I haven't quite clipped it in here with the wing, because I still need to manipulate the wing, and I don't know if there's any fixings there, I can't remember, so I don't want to fully clip it in. But yeah, I mean, that was really easy. There are some screws to put on the inside of the door, but I don't think they're even screws, I think they're just like them pop rivets that you just push down rivets. There's just 5 of them, but they're all lining up with the holes. No, I mean, that was really easy. I could have done that weeks ago. No, it looks good, sweet. Right colour as well. So I've just realised, but my carbon shark fin is actually just a cap, and it goes on top of the existing shark fin aerial, and as you can see, they're just taped to the inside. I've cleaned it all up. Right, now it's shark fin aerial time. So I'm just going to put a small amount. I almost forgot to put the aerial on myself. That would have been really awkward, because I'd have to ruin the whole roof trying to get this shark fin back off. These bits of tape are absolutely pointless. Thank you very much. I'll balance the box on there instead. Right, it's been about 24 hours now, so I'm going to take these clamps off. Thank you, that's it, just smash the dash up, brilliant. Well, that is looking good to me, all absolutely solid. And oh yeah, I test fitted these trims as well, just to show you. I've only got one at the minute because the other side was ruined in the crash, so I don't have one yet, but just look at the fitment. Let me just get a good angle. So obviously when it clips in, look at that. Beautiful. And obviously once it's clipped in at the back here, it will sit like that. Proper happy with that, look, that is spot on. Now, although this is a slightly different trim to the other side, because it's not a perfectly symmetrical trim, I tested it in the galley, and yeah, the fit is perfect. It's obviously just because of the different slight shape it sits up at the back, but width-wise, it's a perfect fit. So once we get the new one, that'll be spot on as well. So let's just remove these ones as well. Lovely. I mean, that didn't do anything, but it helped a little bit. This didn't do anything either, but again, every little helps. And the last clamp. So there is one last thing we've got to do to match the OE spec, and that is just put some seam sealer down here and around this bolt, all down the side here, like the factory was. I guess obviously just to make sure it's 100% waterproof, but we will do that just before we get the roof rails in. So we don't need it for the windscreens, they'll be sealed themselves here. I just had to fill in that galley, which you can see there, which I have done. But yeah, once we get the trims, we'll seam seal that. Right, with the roof now in place, I need to put the headlining in. I have just swept it all out. I've just blown it all out with the airline, so there's no dust in or anything. We are ready to go on the interior. I just need to plug, I think, just my aerials in. Beautiful. blue one. Beautiful. And that is also the headlining all in as well. Quite easy to do actually. All the wing mirrors, interior mirrors done. Spent ages trying to find out where these wires plugged into the interior lights, and then realized that it will be for the mirror. So got that ready to go. And also just popped to BMW and picked up my rear quarter glass. And luckily enough, it comes with the trim around the top there as well, so I didn't need to order that separately. It comes pre-tinted, and it's got the BMW logo as well, so that will look absolutely spot on. So yeah, I'm just literally now waiting for the windscreen people to turn up and finish this all off, so it can start to look like a proper car again. Oh, it's done, and it looks incredible. Now, this has turned out so much better than I thought it would have. I don't know if I was just doubting myself, but I was concerned when I got this car, and I was obviously concerned about this roof, but it has come out so well. I'm a bit speechless, but yeah. So windscreen all in position, looks sweet. Obviously we've been down that, looks great. Side window in, perfect. Rear windscreen in, again, perfect. I mean, look at just, I don't know how it's turned out so well. It's literally perfect. So I'm proper happy with how this is. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, it looks sweet. And it's finally looking like a car again. Obviously, yeah, this trim isn't in properly. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. How do you think it's gone? And how do you think the car looks so far? It's coming together. So another thing LLL Parts helped me out with as well is this parking sensor wiring loom. So mine was completely missing, and luckily it is just a connection on the side here. Here, look, and that is the whole loom. So I've just hooked it all up into the bumper. So all the wiring is there, present and correct. I've just got a couple of sensors that came off the old one. I've ordered 2 more to replace the 2 missing ones, and that should be all the sensors done. I have just gone and picked up a host of new parts as well. I wonder how long this under tray has been sat in BMW UK waiting to be purchased. So we have another, well, I think it's just under 900 quid. Not everything's here. There are a couple of trims, I think a couple more of these that were on back order because they haven't been made. And I can see why they haven't been made, because this one's clearly sat in stock for a long time. But we've got just loads of under tray trims, wheel arches, and I should also have, I've also got my metal plate there as well, because the old one was just slightly bent, so I just thought I'd get a new one. And loads of clips and bolts as well to hold all these under trays on, and a steering rack gaiter as well, because the other one was missing. So yeah, loads of stuff to go on. So I'm now just going to go ahead and fit all these trims that I've now got, starting my steering rack gaiter. We have to fit that first because there's a couple of clips we've got to fit on each end, and then we've got to surround the whole thing with about 3 or 4 different trims. So we need to get that on first. Now I'm going to put on our under tray, which luckily bolted straight up, no problems first time. And I've got to try and decipher the location of all my under trays and wheel arch trims, which I managed to do. It took some time, but we got there in the end. Right, so we're getting there, making slow progress. One thing I have noticed between BMWs and Audis is there's a lot more under trays and trims on, well, especially on this M2 Comp anyway. On Audis, there's generally just all your components that you need, and one big under tray that just covers everything up. But on this, there seems to be, I don't know, 10, 15 different trims. It's like around this steering rack, you've got one trim there, but it's not a one piece, it's a two piece. So you've got a trim there, a trim this side, and then you've actually got, which I have just now ordered again because I was missing it, a trim that then sits under it all. And then you've got this metal under tray, you've got the front under tray here, and then you've got the back of the wheel arch liners. It's just a bit of a pain. Yeah, so these two trims here, look, you can see that there's fixings there. So there's an obvious bit of trim that I'm missing on both sides. So I have just ordered those. I'm hoping they will be here tomorrow. But we have got, I found out where this went. It just went bang in the middle. So you've got a gearbox oil cooling duct there. And yeah, we are getting there. So I have ordered this trim here, but that is on back order. So I did order it nearly a week ago, so they did say 7 to 10 days. So that may show up in today's video, it may not. But otherwise, the underside is looking good. So the next thing I want to do is just sort this side skirt out so we can put our wheel arch liner on properly. I've got it down here. It is not Hockenheim silver, it is white, but it's a nice M Performance white. So we're going to get that on, and then the car will be officially 4 different colours, and that will be all panels complete. And you know, I mean, everything needs repairing. This bumper needs repairing. It needs a lot of paint still. But once we get that on, we can just then fix our under trays on. I've got the wheel off there, so we'll fit a couple of tyres. And yeah, we'll just keep going, keep plugging away. So I'm getting there, just working my way through, fitting the side skirt properly, fitting the wheel arch liners and the wing. I just want everything bolted down properly so we can actually road test MOT the car before it goes off for paint. And one of the last wiring issues I've got is the missing air temp sensor. Now I can't find it anywhere, so I'm assuming it's these 2 wires here that are for the air temp sensor. So I have bought one, which is here, but I'm waiting for the connectors to come for it still. They should be here today, but what I'm going to do just to make sure it is that, because at the minute it's reading -40 on the dash. So there, look, as you can see, -40. So to confirm it is the air temp sensor, I've just taken some pinouts out of another unused connector, and I've just connected them up to these 2 wires here, and I'm just going to stick them in the end of here, and that should complete the circuit, and it will tell me whether it's correct. And there we go, look, all plugged in. I don't know if polarity makes a difference. Yes, there we go, look, +15 degrees, spot on. So that is now working beautifully. And we have 2 new tyres for the M2 as well. We've got some Conti Sport Contact 7s, purely because they were the best value tyre I could find that was still high performance. The tyres that are currently on it are actually the wrong size. They are the 2, I think it's got 2 5.5s on it, when they should be 2 6.5s. So yeah, we'll get some proper tyres on it now. And also I've just popped over to BMW to pick up my last remaining parts. There's a few parts on back order like this bit here. I've got my 2 trims that go along the bottom that I was missing, and I've also got my wiring set here and the connector in there as well for the air temp sensor. So we are good for everything, hopefully. And there we go, I think I'm just about there. The only thing I've got left to do now is put the front bumper on, but just look how many trims. I mean, this is part of the reason this build has taken so long, because I haven't worked on BMWs before, and also the car was completely crashed. I had no idea just how many different trims I would need. Like, for all this corner here, we had trims around the radiator, we had brackets around the radiator, we had a trim on the back, we have air ducts for the brakes, we have this random thing trim here, we have then another trim that goes underneath, we have this trim that goes across the front, we've got that trim there. It just goes on and on. It just never ended. And then we've got 2-piece wheel arch liner, got one there, and then we've got 2 trims that go over the steering rack. We've got that trim that I've just now fitted along the bottom, look, as you can see. We had a main metal pan here. We had trims that went on the oil cooler underneath there, and then we had our trims. My back order trim is now here, I've picked that up. That is all now fitted fully, and there was one trim at the back, which you can't probably see, but that is now all done as well. So yeah, we are looking good. And I've just done the wiring for the sensor. It is here, look, all taped up, all pins successfully done properly OEM. So looking at the location of the sensor, it goes roughly where I've put it. I know it goes just above this radiator here on the driver's, or on the UK car, on the passenger side, but for the life of me, I cannot see actually where it slots into. So for now, I've just cable tied it on the top there, just so it's out of the way until I find out exactly where it goes. But yeah, last thing we've got to do now is get that bumper on. And here we have it. I kind of skipped ahead and did a lot of stuff off camera. I just got a bit carried away and just started cracking on. So the car is actually, I think, complete, just bodywork outstanding. So I've actually put together, I mean, yes, the interior is absolutely filthy, and I haven't put that trim on there because I'm not sure if they'll need to take these side skirts off to paint them, if it'll be easier, so I don't want to put the trim on. But otherwise, the interior is fully back together, and I've just gone on the computer, cleared all the faults. I do have one fault come back. I'll just put a screenshot up of it now. I think it may be some sort of fuse by the battery terminal. I need to look into it, but yeah, we'll obviously have to sort that before we can MOT the car. But otherwise, the car is back together fully. So just going around here, look, you can see on me, bonnet lines are all good. Annoyingly, I've got the grille obviously, but I don't know if I should fit it, because I don't know if it'll have to come back off again to paint the bumper, so I don't have to fit it and then have problems getting it back off. So I might annoyingly just leave it off for now. There is a small repair we've got to do to this bit of the wing here. That'll happen when obviously everything gets painted. But otherwise, yeah, it is all back together and looking good. There is one thing I need to do with this driver's door. I don't know if you can spot it, but I need to slightly adjust it. So if you can see here, see that line down there, you can see it closes up a little bit at the bottom, and also if you look at the line at the bottom, it is a bit higher there than the rest of it. And if you look here, look, the line isn't quite bang on, it is ever so slightly off. So basically I just need to loosen the hinges on the door and basically twist the door a tiny little bit that way, just so it lines up a lot nicer, and that will sort all my problems out there. So yeah, I'm proper happy with this, how this has come out, sorry. Yeah, it's literally spot on underneath, spot on outside, just needs some bodywork, an MOT, and a road test, which will be very interesting. I think I'm just going to put some air in the tyres now, because that keeps coming up with the fault, and we're going to go up and down the drive. What I have noticed is, obviously this is tuned 650 horsepower, and it's got massive overrun pops when you change down gear and let off the throttle, and they are loud. Obviously it won't come across on camera, but believe me, it's loud. Right, do I have the key on me? Yes. That's not going to come across on camera, but that is so loud. Jesus. Right. Let's go for I don't know if this is a BMW thing, but if you drive without your seatbelt on, it takes it out of drive and puts it into neutral, which is very annoying. Right. Of course. I've only got 9 miles of range, but I'm hoping I won't use all that. Let's put it in Sport Plus manual. It's so loud. Like the Merc, I'm surprised how quiet. This is a stock exhaust. I'm surprised how quiet it is when the valves are shut. Sorry, I'm just going over a speed bump and it's lowered so it hits the bump. Yeah, I'm surprised how loud this is and how quiet it is with the valve shut. So. sounds like I don't have an exhaust, which I don't think is the case. I'm pretty sure it's connected. It is lethal. I am very nervous to drive this on the road. But then if I put it into, I'll take it off and I'll put it in efficient, completely quiet. I'm putting it in efficient because we have people that live here, and yeah, I don't think they're going to be too happy with me keep going up and down doing that. So I'm not going to lie, this is going to be an absolute weapon, and I will be slightly nervous, very nervous in fact, when I take this for a first road test. Very nervous. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I laugh. I think it's a nervous laugh. It's annoying because I was going to take it for a road test today on camera for you guys, but I've just completely forgot the fact I just don't have any number plates on the car. Complete oversight on my part. Can't drive it on the road without number plates. So that is going to be it for today's video, guys. I'm actually really happy. Although this car's taken best part of 8-9 months to get done, a lot of that was just trying to get parts and not knowing what parts I needed and keep having to go backwards and forwards, and then obviously getting other things in between. But I'm actually really happy with how so far it's come out. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. What do you think this car's gonna be like? Am I gonna bin it on the first drive road test? It is quite likely. Okay, I'll ignore that. And the inside is absolutely minging as well, so it needs a good clean. But let's start her up. And that's that battery cable that I'm hoping is going to get fixed. Right, let's start things off by looking at this battery cable. A few trims I've got left to put on. I keep saying the car's bloody 100% and there's trims everywhere still. Right, so I don't know what's gone on here, but it's obviously this cable here that we need to replace. But I'm sure the car shouldn't start if this cable has been compromised, so I'm not too sure what's going on. So it looks like we've just got to replace this positive battery cable here, which just goes to a little fuse box, and yeah, so we've got our airbag connector that plugs into this battery terminal. So I'm guessing what happens is when you have a crash, it cuts the power, but that doesn't make sense. So something must have happened in there, because the car still runs but the airbag's an issue. So I don't know if it's like Audi's or anything like where it cuts the power so you can't start the car. That obviously isn't the case with this one because it still runs and everything. But we're going to replace this cable anyway because it's clearly got a fault in it. So yeah, we'll give it a go and hopefully that will clear the fault code. Yeah, so I think I found the problem, and it does explain why the airbag's faulty, got a fault stored, but the car still runs. Now I don't really know what's happened here, but if you can see, here's my old cable I've just taken off, and there's our airbag cable, and you can see the wires have been, well, I don't know if they've been cut or what, but yeah, they're not connected to anything, and I found the little loom here with my 2 wires. So yeah, it's a bit weird. It looks like they've been cut, but then if I look at the cable here, look, there is some damage on the back of the cable here. So look, it's all been damaged around the back here. So I don't really know what's happened, and I think, yeah, it looks like it doesn't look like they've been snipped with a cutter. It looks like a genuine tear. So it just could be pure accident that something's maybe, I don't know, but it looks like it's torn off and just snap those cables. There's no reason for you to snip them, and it doesn't make any sense to do so. So I have just ordered a new battery cable for no reason whatsoever, it seems. That will teach me for not doing any research before bloody buying the thing. So, well, we've got the new one now, so we might as well fit it, and I'll repair these 2 wires as well, and we'll plug them all back in. let's just go into SRS. So continue, read fault code. So it should be the right clear, and hopefully that won't now come back. Okay, cool. That's a good start. Read fault code. Yeah, that's good. Right, that should be it now. That was the only fault I had when it come back. So I'm hoping now, yes, we have no airbag light on the dash, just tyre pressures. So I'm gonna check those, and then, yo, come on, it's ready to go. Right, we are ready to go. Plates are on. Right, remote control. Annoyingly, let's go back to menu. See, I have no idea how to work a BMW, so I'm just trying to work it out. You can't have a look at oil level. There you go, right. Right, oil level. Oh, engine oil level, okay. Okay. Measurement only possible after a longer drive, approximately 30 minutes with engine switched on. I hope that's just like a really specific engine level, not just a... I'm hoping it's just an engine level okay. I mean, it says okay, so it must be there or thereabouts, and it just needs me to drive for half an hour for an exact. But first thing I need to do is go put some V-power in, because this is obviously 650 horsepower, and it can only run on V-power, or 99, 98 run. It's just been lowered so bumper hits on the speed. So now I'm going on the road, I need to listen out for anything, any knocks. I'm booked in for MOT. I'm about to do that so I can road test it on the road. Oh, this is the first time I'm about to pull out. And I stick out like a sore thumb as well, because I'm out, because I'm multicoloured. Yeah, I might be quiet for a little bit, because obviously this is 9 months in the making of doing this, and there could be all sorts wrong, missing, loose, because I've worked on it for such a long period. I'm hoping not, but there just could be a bolt missing somewhere. Not missing, but loose maybe. So I need to concentrate and just get to this fuel station, get some fuel in it, because it's now got naught. And also I've had to do the tracking with my eyes as well, but to be fair, it's all right. It's not pulling left or right, it's straight on. So I've just got people looking at me because I'm driving a multicoloured M2. It all seems alright so far. Right, I'm just pulling into the fuel station now, so I'm just going to bang some V-power in, and I have no idea what side the fuel flap is, and I'll catch up with you in a second. You literally couldn't make this up, look. Sorry, out of use, no V-power. I've never been here before, and there's never been V-power available before. No V-power on any pump. I've got no range. My next closest station is 5 miles away, so I've just got to put a couple of litres of normal fuel in, which is very infuriating. So I've just stuck in 5 litres of normal fuel, which is horrific. So this video is now going to turn into hunting Tesco 99 or V-power. So I'm now going to have to literally drive to Tesco, which is the next closest one, to get some to Tesco 99, because I can't drive around with normal crappy fuel in it, and I daren't boot it at all with this rubbish fuel in it, so that's very frustrating. Well, unfortunately, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I've got nothing to report so far, but then again, I'm just taking it easy, which is really frustrating. So, right, I've just filled her now up with 99. And now I'm going to put it on loud just to see how loud it actually is. There we go. straight away, Asbo pops. Not a fan, if I'm honest, but for the purpose of this video, I'll leave them on. They're a bit too much. If it was the odd pop, then maybe, but I have a feeling this is going to be very. Let me just try it. Yeah, it just sounds ridiculous. Yeah, it sounds crap. But I don't know if I can turn them off. I'm not sure how. It sounds... I mean, sorry, it sounds awful. I can hear a rubbing noise. I hear a rubbing noise. I don't know if it's the brakes. No, I can't see anything. I think it's just the brakes, if I'm honest. Getting cocky. 4,000 RPM there. Still, I think it is the brakes. Honestly, it sounds ridiculous. So, that is a really pronounced rubbing noise, but I think it is the brakes. However, so far so good. I've done 6.6 miles, and apart from that diff noise, potential wheel bearing noise on that side, and a rubbing / brake noise from the near side rear, everything from the front sounds great, as in can't hear anything bad. I was about to go into a dual carriageway there, and I don't want to do it. Now there's definitely something with this near side rear, but I can't find anything obvious. Let me just put it on a camera stand and I'll show you. If I put my hands on the wheel, I don't know if you're able to see it on the camera, but the whole wheel seems like, including the rim, it seems like it pivots. And there's, I don't know, the handbrake's on and there's just a bit too much movement. And I don't know if that's normal or not. I don't know if it's just me, but the whole wheel seems to pivot. So the disc's moving, so something ain't right. I don't think that's not normal. Look at that. But I haven't touched anything on the near side rear. It's pretty much the only corner that wasn't damaged. So I'm a bit unsure what's going on at the minute. Right, I'm just going to hobble back. There's a dual carriageway, but luckily it's at 40. So if I just hobble back at like 25. See that? Oh, I can't drive that. I can't drive that. Is it brakes? It can't be brakes. Nah, I ain't doing it. I need to park up. I can't. It sounds horrific. I'm just gonna park up on the end there. I'm just gonna have to leave it here. I daren't drive it. sounds too bad. Bye. Yeah, so it's not ideal. I'm now going to walk the 2 miles back to the farm. I've left the M2 there. Got someone coming on their bike. And yeah, it might be nothing. It could just be something really simple. It wouldn't affect the way it drove, but the just noises it was making, it was getting considerably worse, and I just don't want to risk it. So I have a vehicle transporter. I just have to walk the 2 miles back. Probably take me just over an hour, and we'll go pick it up and get it back in the workshop and see what's wrong with it. There we go. Yeah, so not really going to plan so far. I'm just waiting for one of my transporters to come back so I can go pick it up, because at the minute I don't actually have any equipment to go pick it up. It should be back any minute, and I've got to load the extended ramps as well, because obviously the M2's been lowered, so it's quite low. And then I've got to go pick up the M2 because I don't want to leave it there for too long, because I'm on double yellows in a town centre, and if it gets towed away, yeah, it's not ideal. Here she comes, that trusty old Fiat. I knew I left them somewhere. Oh, here's the old Porker. Go and watch the Porker videos if you haven't seen them up to date. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. We need these though. Where is she? There she is, look, on the end. On the end, look. So I can't actually get it in the workshop because I've got a car in there already, so let's just jack it up here and have a look. I can still see it moving, but the handbrake does seem to be working. Yeah, there's a piece of trim that's caught. Right, it's the next day. My bit of trim that had a bolt missing and was catching on the wheel, I have now just put a bolt back in it, and it's just started raining. So I want to try and, the roads are kind of dry at the minute, so I do just want to try and go out. I feel a lot more confident driving it now though. Now we've had that initial road test, I feel like a normal car now, to be fair. Right, so apart from that bearing noise, we're all good. So let's get it into sport. No, I'm just going to put it into sport, and then there's an Audi S3 in front of me. Look. No, right, it's dry here. Yeah, it's pretty quick. I like the turn-in on BMWs. The steering's a lot nicer. Traction control was kicking in then. Oh, this is cool. I like this. brakes need some attention, they're a bit juddery. I'll be totally honest, it doesn't feel like 650 brake, but then again, I haven't driven one of these standards, so it could just be really super progressive and I just can't feel the punch. It's definitely quick, but how much quicker is it than it's hard to tell really. Traction control's kicking in. See, I do really like this car, and I think it would be obviously better than an Audi in the dry, but the trouble with England is it's dry barely 50% of the time. So it's like you're buying a car that you can only really have fun in 50% of the time, whereas the Audi, any four-wheel drive car, you can have fun a lot more than 50%. So I suppose it's a better all-rounder, whereas this is better in a smaller proportion. I guess that's probably the way to describe it, but the feel of the steering and the direct... Why is it not changing gear? No, that's because I put on hold on to gears too long. But yeah, this is, yeah, I can see how this is more of a driver's car. So here it is in its fully completed form. I have no clue if I've actually shown you the front end all colour coordinated to the car now. I think the last time I have shown you it was when it was orange, but yes, looking really, really good. So as I said, the exterior of the car has been complete for some time, which was the original crash damage and the reason I bought the car. And we have a few things we need to do, being in the engine, and there's also, I don't know if when we went on road, there we go, look, hear it, ha! Got it on camera. I don't know if we heard it on road test, but there was a droning noise coming from the offside rear. Now, I've had it up on the ramp, and I got someone to sit in it and drive it while I was on the ramp, and a good way to see if it's a wheel bearing, if it's not immediately obvious by spinning the wheel. It's quite hard on this because obviously it's rear wheel drive, but it is to hold the coil spring with your hand, and if you can feel a lot of vibration through it, it's an indication that the wheel bearing has gone. Now, there was, I mean, I really hope it's not the diff. I'm hoping it's a wheel bearing. There was some excessive vibration through the spring, but it doesn't match the sound, if you get what I mean. So the sound coming from the offside rear is worse than what you'd imagine the vibration through the spring would be. But I have an offside rear wheel bearing. We are going to be fitting it in today's video, guys, and fingers crossed that will just fix that. But otherwise, rear spoiler is obviously now done. Carbon roof, she is looking well. So let's get her into the workshop, and I'm going to start on the engine problem because that's the one I don't want to do the most, so we've got to start with that. If I'm honest, I don't have a clue, but I'm 99% sure it is under all this. Yeah, under all that, I think I've got to remove quite a lot of stuff. But the general gist of things, yeah, it's quite involved, to be fair. So we're going to have to remove, so the carbon brace, I think the airbox, the scuttle panel, this plastic shield here. We're going to have to remove the rocker cover. I think we have to move 4 spark plugs, 4 injectors, and then we've got the eccentric shaft, which should run along here. And we've got to try and get the Valvetronic motor off of that. There is a way you can do it. I've watched the video, so I'll probably watch it again once I get to that point, just so I know exactly what we're doing. But basically, the motor just adjusts the camshaft depending on engine revolution or engine RPM, sorry, and just makes it basically more efficient at high RPMs. And yeah, that is what is making that ticking noise. Quite a common problem on the S55, and I think even older ones as well. So I'm just going to put it on a long time lapse. I'll probably talk through what I'm doing, but I'm going to try and get the best visual that you can see. It's this valve here. I think it's something to do with variable camshafts, not 100%. I'm going to do some homework tonight, and I'll see you in the morning. So I started off using an airline and just blowing all the rubbish out the way so I didn't get lost in the engine at all. And it's removing the strut base. There was a cross member as well that goes across two struts. There was, I had to remove the wiper arms, the scuttle panel, the air intake, the charge pipe cooler, the charge pipes, the rocker cover plastic, the injectors, the fuel rail. The list goes on. There was a lot of things I needed to remove just to get the rocker cover off, in fact. So I thought I'd just pause the time lapse there and just explain what's going on, because this is, it's quite a big job, and I haven't even got the rocker cover off yet. So yeah, I've probably talked over the time lapse, but we are down now. We can see the cylinder head and the rocker cover. So I'm at a point now where I've just removed the wiring for the spark plugs, injectors, etc. And there's probably about 10, 15 of these E10 bolts to remove to take the rocker cover off. And that should then give us access to what we need. I don't even know what that is yet. I believe this is what we're replacing. The Valvetronic motor there, I believe that is what it is. So yeah, let's get the old rocker cover off. And I've plugged up all my holes, obviously, because there is a lot of them, to stop bits falling in places where they shouldn't. So I've just done it by removing injectors 2 and 4, which enables you to get the coil pack, like recessed bucket things out on those two. This thing here, basically, on cylinders 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Here's our motor here, which we're replacing, and it's on a spur gear, which is connected to the camshaft, and that is how it works. Now, there is a stopper here. So if you can see, this is the camshaft, and you can see this lug that's pointing out. And that is where I've removed the stopper bolt, which basically stops it from going past that point. And we need it to go past that point to be able to remove the spur gear off of the Valvetronic motor, so we can remove it. So I'm just in the process of just slowly turning it anti-clockwise. You can see there, look, to get it off, so we can then remove the motor. So I'm just going to keep doing that now, because I don't know if I need to counter hold it with this. Some people have said you do, but I can't see why. It doesn't make sense. So I am just going to hold it just in case it flings off or something. Right, so if I now just pull the camshaft away, I don't know how, like that, and try and get this out. I don't know how. It's not bolted in. Oh, there we go. Right. There we go. And there we go. Removed. So that's now the motor removed, and we've got to check our gear as well for any damage, because these are also a common problem. But you can see there is a little bit of wear on it, but it's no more than wear. Look, the teeth are all completely intact and absolutely fine. There's no damage to it. So luckily, we just need to change the motor. And good news, our new Valvetronic has the exact same part number as the old one, which means a very common problem they haven't bothered trying to rectify, because all the numbers are all exactly the same, which means it's exactly the same part. That's probably going to fail again in another 20,000 miles. So yeah, really good there. Nice one for fixing the problem, so we don't have to change them again. But anyway, we got a new one going in. That is the original one that was on the car when it's brand new. So let's stick our new one in. So it's just started pissing it down. Tin roof makes a lot of noise, but we are, where's my spanner gone? Fantastic, here it is. Just gonna put the new motor in. I'm trying to put it in upside down. I'm a moron. Right, let's get that bolted in. So I've reinstalled the stopper, which you can probably just about see there, look. And I've put the bucket in for cylinders 3 and 4. So I'm going to put it all back together now. Everything is back to where it was, new one installed. So yeah, I'm not going to bother putting on a time lapse. It's exactly the same as removal. It took about an hour and a half to get to this stage, purely because I'd never done it before, filming it, etc. So to be fair, once you've done it a few times, it's not actually that bad at all. It's just a lot of faff removing all you've got to remove to actually get to the part. But once you've got to the part, it's quite straightforward. So I'm going to click my fingers and it's all going to be put back together. Yeah, awful transition. I've gone back to using my original camera as well, so it probably looks completely different. And I haven't quite finished it. I've done the classic, dropped one of the main bolts, look, that goes behind the scuttle panel, dropped it down the side of the engine. I've now got to put the car up in the air, take the under trays off just to get that epoxy bolt, which means I can't put any of the scuttle panel on until I've done that. So I thought we'd just, I'm annoyed about it. So I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna start on the wheel bearing, but the engine is all back together. I've tested the ignition, no fuel leaks, and there's no clicking noises straight away either, which is good. So I'm gonna, yeah, kind of done. Let's crack on with that offside rear wheel bearing. So here's our wheel bearing. Unfortunately, it's the press on, press off type, which is, oh, they're just an absolute nightmare because trying to get them off, I've only got a little 10-ton press, so it's gonna be fun. So what I'll do as normal, I'll put it on a time lapse. Basically, we're going to be stripping the caliper off, taking the disc off, taking the drive shaft bolt out. The drive shaft will either have to come off fully, or we might be able to just prise the bearing off the drive shaft. And yeah, I mean, I've never done one before, so I'm kind of just going off experience from other cars. It should be fairly similar, but yeah, let's crack on.
So after starting to strip this down, I quickly realised it was going to be easier for me to remove the whole hub instead of try and faff around removing the drive shaft, pull that out, and there's just no space. It's not like the front axle where you can move the hub and it's just fixed. So it's easy to just remove the whole hub, and that's about 5 or 6 suspension joints. But once you've done that, remove the disc, remove the jump for the handbrake, remove the ABS wiring, the whole thing just pops off the end of the drive shaft and you've got a lot more access.
So I thought it was easier just to take the whole hub unit off. Just because of the drive shaft, trying to get that out. With the front axle it's a bit easier because you can turn the steering, but with this obviously you can't on the rear. So I thought just a few more bolts, take the whole thing off, and then I've got a lot more room. Now, I'm trying to, I can hear a very faint rumble. I mean, fingers crossed, obviously this fixes it, but I really hope it's not the diff. So we've got 4 bolts to undo on the back here, which obviously I couldn't do with the drive shaft in. Get them 4 out, bang it out, and then we're gonna have lots of fun trying to remove it.
So I put this on a time lapse because I assumed it was going to take at least 20 minutes to get this out, but it literally took 10 seconds.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, that went way better than I thought it was gonna do. You can see my very dodgy makeshift press here. I've had to invert the bars here so I could fit the wheel bearing housing underneath it. I've had to put these in to stop it from sliding off. I've had to put a strap around it to stop it from pressing out, but bit of heat and yeah, it's pressed it off. So I'm going to let that cool down for 10 minutes because I have just applied quite a lot of heat, and we'll try and press the new one on. That went way better than I expected. We might have to cut though. Yeah, it's pulled, so the bearing's split in 2. Normally what happens is when you press it off, the bottom half of the bearing stays on the stub axle, whatever you want to call it, and the top half stays on the bearing, so we may have to cut the bottom half off yet. So we can see here, look, we've split the bearing in half, and you can see all the ball bearings exposed there. And here's the other half of the bearing still on the shaft. So the easiest way now to get this off is just to cut it. So we're going to get the grinder, just cut across here, which will weaken it, and then we can just pry it off with a hammer and a chisel. Now, this is the bit that you need to be super careful on, pressing the new bearing on. It has to be completely square, otherwise it can easily just ruin the new bearing. If you try and press it on not straight, then it just completely messes it up. So just got to try and be as careful as you can. Yeah, see, straight away, actually, is that? It's really hard to tell.
See, I ended up turning the bearing upside down here and actually pushing the stub axle into the bearing. It seemed to work a bit better.
There you go, I think we're good. If it snags at all, yeah, I think we're good. Here we're good. What's that nice noise, look. If it snags at all or gets tight, then you know it's no good. There we go. Now, looking at the old bearing, you can see inside, it's going to be quite hard to pick up, but the grease looked quite gritty. Now, I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera. I don't know if you can see there, look, but the grease looks quite gritty, like it's got some dirt in. And that may be the cause of the very slight whirring that I was hearing. Now, I still don't fully know if this new bearing is going to fix it. But new bearing we have all now installed, so that is now ready to go back on the car. So now what we've got to do is just refit it all. And don't worry, there's another transitional masterclass coming up. So, bearing on. I haven't edited yet, obviously, but I'm guessing that transition was top tier. So there we go, all back together, guys. So I just need to put the wheel on now, get it back on the ground. Oh, no, I need to get that bolt from the under tray first. Look, I don't know if you can even see it, look, it's right in there on a stupid little bracket. There it is, look. Epoxy things.
Right, guys, nice little road test of the M2. It is all now completely done. No faults on the dash. Very weird driving this. Not the most flattering camera angle I've got there, but there we go. Oh, it feels weird, look. I'm going to check that wheel bearing straight away. I do need to adjust the window a little bit, but good news is that window's really nice. Yeah, good news is wheel bearing noise has gone away, so that's good. And yeah, driving this for the first proper time. I've had this well over a year. It's weird to think I've had this over a year and I've driven it I think once and that was it. But brakes are probably really rusty. But it's like the C63 in this in terms of how quiet the exhaust is, inefficient, but then how mentally loud it is. Way too loud in my opinion when you put it into sport. And if anything, I'm a little bit scared to drive it. Rear wheel drive, 600 and I think 30 horsepower this thing's got. I think I've got a dyno printout for this car at 615, but I believe it had a few more tweaks after that to around 630. So yeah, it's mad, especially when this is obviously only about 1500 kilos as well. Insane amount of performance. Yeah, so you're going to see in a minute. I've cleaned it, it looks absolutely awesome, so I'm going to reveal it just after this little test drive we're going to do. Nice and dry now, luckily it was wet this morning. So, in drive, it's driving sweet, gearbox is good, as you'd expect. I mean, it's a 68 plate, it's only done 15,000 miles, so you'd expect it to be absolutely spot on. But what we can do is, now the oil's up to temperature, I've been driving for 5 minutes. Right, BMW, how do we work this thing? Right. I'm going to put it in sport. Sport. And then, is it still in? It's got pops and bangs, this is rubbish. That needs to come off. It sounds awful. Trees now. Jesus. Oh, this is brutal. Do you know when them cars are just too fast? Like, I remember driving a 700 brake RS6. And although I had a lot more confidence in that because of the Quattro, it was just it's just too fast, like for a country road. This has a similar vibe, but I'm scared to fully commit due to rear wheel drive. I've never tried this before. Like, once you're used to this in the bone dry, obviously we've got new Sport Contact 7 tyres on, so that will help. This will be an absolute animal. It's just a different... Yeah, it's mental. Right, we're going to turn it around here, I think. I'll tell you what I do like with... like the Merc and BMW, which are obviously rear-wheel drive, so the fronts are a lot shorter front end, and they just feel nicer on the front end. So like, it feels lighter, the turn-in's a bit sharper, and you can notice it is nice. And my traction control light on there, literally, as I change gear, home drive, third to fourth, I think my traction light was just flashing on the dash. That is how dangerous, I suppose, this car can be. But against the trees again, look. Windows down. Okay, I've got a grin in my face. I'm supposed to be an Audi boy. I keep saying hoot lately and I don't know why. Okay, this is addictive. This is epic. For some reason, I don't know why, it stopped overrunning. It stopped crackling. Weird. Right guys, I'm now joining a line of traffic back to the farm, so I'm going to stick it back in comfort. It goes absolutely silent. Back into there we go. And I'll see you back at the farm, and we're going to reveal just how good this thing looks, because yeah, it's epic.
So we are finally cleaning it for the first time, and just check out how good this car looks. And here she is. Now, just take a moment to appreciate how good looking this car actually is. And I'm going to give myself actually a pat on the back, because this is perfect. It has come out way better than I imagined. Everything is absolutely perfect on it, apart from the cracks from the exhaust. But it just looks so good, and especially with, obviously we've got the black styling, but the carbon roof against the Hockenheim silver, it just looks absolutely incredible. Look at that. And obviously we've got our carbon boot spoiler now as well, which pretty much completes the look of the car. And yeah, I just keep staring at it. It looks absolutely epic. And that, guys, is the M2 done.